During those early years, a young man from Memphis, Tennessee became a huge fan and was greatly influenced by gospel quartet music. The young man was Elvis Presley.
We attended First Assembly of God Church in Memphis, and Elvis attended Sunday school there as a young boy. And he would come to we had a singing every month at the auditorium in Memphis, gospel sing. And Elvis came to it, and we all became acquainted with him there. And one month we didn't see him at the singing. J.D. asked him, why weren't you at the singing? He said, well, I didn't have the money to buy a ticket. So J.D. said, well, you don't have to buy a ticket. Just come to the stage door, we'll let you in.
Anytime Elvis was in town, he always came out and listened to the gospel music and the conventions. He certainly was excited about the convention. I remember one year we had him come to the convention, and the colonel wouldn't let him sing, but I introduced him. And the fans just came to the stage. Our fans would criticize. They criticized me when I started to work with Elvis. But then you bring Elvis there, and it was almost like rock and roll. They were just excited about him as anybody else. But he came, and we had both buildings full. And he walked around. The stage covered both sides of the building. He walked around, and he swayed his hips when he walked. And when he got through, the crowd was the people was trying to get on the stage. It was gospel fans. And so when he got all the way around, well, then I decided, because I introduced him. He was my buddy. I introduced him. So I decided I was going to do the same walk he did, and it threw my back out of the joint. I was trying to sway my hips the way he was.
He always said that he would never be a backup for anyone. He knew that by taking that responsibility of doing something that he was, ridiculed, the entire business was against, him going with Elvis. They couldn't believe it. But he knew he was setting up a platform by which he would be able to sing gospel music to more people, than probably anyone in our business had ever had the capability of doing.
At the time that Elvis wanted us to come sing with him, he had the Imperials, and they had a double booking, so he got a hold of me, and it so happened at that time I had a quartet that was capable. I had Richard Sturban, who is now with the Oak Ridge Boys, singing the bass. I had two bass singers. And so I booked him mainly just so that I wouldn't have to work. I'd go along and play golf, which was right on the plane. But when we got there, he said, no, I got you a mic by yourself. I want some of those 56 endings. And what he meant by that was, the low stuff. And he made me sing with him.
When we went with Elvis Presley, it was an interesting situation because we were criticized a lot by some of the gospel music followers. And J.D. had a saying about that I thought was rather amusing. He always got up and in a lot of places, and when he was going to explain that in a gospel concert, he'd say, I used to always say that I wouldn't sing with that old Elvis until I got the chance. We had the chance, we took the chance, and because we took the chance, we were able eventually to work into a spot of starting the Elvis show every single night with 20 minutes of gospel music. The very first words that anybody heard on the Elvis Presley show was, tell me the story of Jesus.
He called me and said, J.D., I want you to do me a favor. I said, okay. He said, I want you to open the show tonight. The Sweets are upset. So I said, my God, that's what I've been waiting on. So I got my boys together. And I said, we're going to open the show tonight for Elvis. And one of them said, well, I can sing West Virginia. And the other one said, I can sing by the time I get to Phoenix. I said, no, you don't get the idea. We're going to sing gospel. And I said, that's our kind of music. We got 2 standing ovations. And Elvis told me, he said, I always wondered if gospel music would go on my show. And he said, you proved it tonight, so from now on, come H or high water, you're going to open the show. And he said, here's a little something for doing me that favor. Give me a check for $10,000. I said, call me anytime you want to, buddy, you know.
Once he gained Elvis's confidence and Elvis allowed them to front the show, he just wasn't a backup singer. He brought gospel music front and center. Of all the accomplishments, that was one of the main goals that he was most proud. He had that desire to bring gospel music, you know, to people that would not ordinarily hear it.
By every measure that I think you could possibly invoke, gospel music was the center post of Elvis's existence. The fact that the king of rock and roll would gather the group around and sing gospel music to get ready to record popular rock and roll music, and then when they were done, would stay up half the night singing gospel music. For all of the people in Elvis's life, there were a handful, and J.D. was one, that he shared that passion for gospel music with. And that bound them from the early days to literally beyond his death.
I'm sure that Elvis always felt real good having J.D. and the boys with him. It made him more secure. I think Elvis was kind of particular about who he worked with, and some people more than others he was very comfortable with, and it just made things easy for him. Well, for example, he knew that if he went into a gospel song, the boys would pick right up on it. They'd be right into it. There'd be no problem. Of course, they knew it. It just made it easy for him. I don't think Elvis could have done without J.D., you know, when it all said and done.
In the world of Elvis, there's God, Jesus Christ, Elvis Presley, and J.D. Sumner, and that's just the way it is, and everyone accepts it. And you know, if you're going to work, you know, with Graceland and be with the fans, and in the world of Elvis, that was just what we all accepted.
To show you about J.D.'s devotion, how much he loved Elvis, one night during, I think it was in Las Vegas, Elvis and all of his guys made it up that they would stage a fake attempt on Elvis' life, but didn't tell J.D.
Got all the stamps together before the show started and said, now be on the lookout, especially when we do You've Lost That Loving Feeling, when the lights go down and Elvis turns his back and they pinpoint his head. Everybody, Donnie, you look at this, you concentrate on this part of the audience. Ed, you concentrate on this part, Bill, etc. Everybody had a little section they were responsible for. Nothing happened on the first show, so we go up to the suite to make better plans for the second show. While we were in the suite, Sonny West slipped around through the hall and came back down through the servants' hall into Elvis's suite and had on a black velvet jacket with a ski mask on. And he hollered out profanity at Elvis and called him a name and started shooting at Elvis through the doorway and unloaded about 3 or 4 rounds.
The other guys all suddenly burst in the door with shooting. Of course, they were shooting blanks.
Elvis knew how to do one of these bullet tucks, they call it. And he jumped backwards and did that little thing where he flies up there and he sprawled out on the floor. And J.D. just knew that Elvis had been shot but didn't know how bad.
And J.D. just jumped all of a sudden and spread like that on top of Elvis. To shield him, he thought they were trying to kill him. And he said later, just without thinking, I mean, that was just a reaction like that I was to guard Elvis.
And although it was a prank, Elvis knew that J.D. didn't know that it was a prank. And he had covered his whole body with his body to protect him.
And then he saw all the guys laughing and Elvis laughing. But that demonstrated how much he loved Elvis. I'm sure Elvis never forgot that either.
And for that reason, from then on, if J.D. mentioned it, it was in the parking lot within 15 minutes.
He decided he wanted to give away this white limo, the Lincoln. So he offered it to J.D., and J.D. said, sure, I'll take it. So so after everything's sort of doled out, and so we're all going home. So the sessions are over. We can all go home. So Elvis gathers. So I mean, you know, a lot of time has passed, and Elvis is upstairs. So J.D. takes everybody and said, "Let's go, guys." They all get in the limo, and they head back to Nashville. Well, Elvis is assembling everybody to go out front and watch J.D. drive off in the limo. Well, David Briggs and I rode with David Briggs to the sessions over there. We know that J.D. and Ed and everybody, they've already gone. They said goodbye. I figured Elvis wasn't coming back down. He was gone for the day. So J.D. and David Briggs and I say goodbye to everybody. We say, well, we're going. So I get in the van with David Briggs, and we pull out around the front of Graceland. There's Elvis smoking a cigar, and there's everybody, you know, the Sweet Inspirations and all the help, and they're all standing on the front of the porch, and David rolls the window down and says, what are you guys doing? And they say, oh, we're waiting. Elvis said, we're waiting on J.D. to leave in a big limo. We said, oh, cool. We're going, he's been gone for like 30 minutes.
Thanks so much for watching this clip from New Haven Collections. For full episodes of some fantastic shows, go to www.countryroadtv.com. And if you'll use the code New Haven, you'll get a month free. Don't forget you can see some great performances at 615 Hideaway. Click in the box above to go to their channel. Again, thanks so much for watching.